Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Ujar, Unpam Mengajar. I'm Lisa, an English department lecturer for basic grammar subject. I'm going to share material about simple present tense. This program will be conducted in some episode, so keep watching and don't miss it. Stay tuned on Sasmita Jaya TV, berbagi untuk negeri. Before we discuss the material, let me show you the points of our discussion. The first, the function of the simple present tense. The second, the form of the simple present tense. The third is the present simple with auxiliary verb. And the last one is the frequency adverb on the simple present tense. In the previous episode, we have discussed how to describe people or objects using be, and how to make sentences where the main verb don't exist. Also, we have discussed about how to write which they are followed by adjective, professions, or adverb of places. Is MR are used in the kinds of sentences I have mentioned before when the time is present. However, what should we use if the sentences contain main verbs such as eat, go, sleep, study, work, and so on and so forth? Besides, since there are various tenses in English, some beginners of English learners still have difficulties on how to decide which sentence structure they have to use for some contexts such as daily activities, habits, and general facts. For example, saya makan 3 kali sehari. Kami selalu datang tepat waktu. Bumi mengelilingi matahari. The sentences before have the context I have mentioned before, and the tenses that we have to use to express these kinds of sentences is simple present tense. There are some who are still confused about how to use these tenses appropriately. Moreover, misappropriate usage of tenses can lead to misunderstanding. What about you? If you feel so, don't worry, because that is what we are going to discuss in this program. So, don't miss it. Welcome back to our program. First, we talk about the function of the simple present tense. One of the most important things in learning English tenses is knowing when one tense is used and another is used. By knowing this, we can decide what tense we have to use in various contexts of times and situations. Here, we are going to discuss in what situation and what context simple present tense is used. First, simple present tense is used to express daily habits or usual activities. For example, if we want to tell how many times we eat every day, what we usually do before going to bed, what kind of transportation we go to college, or what kind of food we have for breakfast, we use simple present tense. Here is the sentence example. Prabu walks to school every day. The sentence above is in simple present tense structure, which expresses habitual actions. Second, this is used to express general statement of facts. For example, when we want to tell to someone about how many sides that a square or triangle has, the taste of sugar or salt, in what country that a city is placed, we use simple present tense. Here is the sentence example. The sun rises in the east. The sentence above shows general truth. It is the fact that was, is, and will be the same around the world. In every part of the world, the fact that sun rises in the east and the sun sets in the west cannot be debated. It is what we call as general fact or truth. In other words, it is to express about one condition or situation that never changes from time to time and whenever it is. Finally, simple present tense is also used to express events or situations in general time as long as the situation has not ended yet. Here is the example. I work in a factory. If you are a student right now and you have not finished your study yet, you may use this structure also, as long as you still do the activities and the activities have not ended yet. It is because working and studying are two of some activities which have long duration of time. Next is the form of the simple present tense. There are some various tenses in English which have various structures and usage. One of them is simple present tense. To be able to use this tense appropriately, understanding its structure and usage is essential. Let's start with discussing the structure of simple present tense. As many other sentence structures, simple present tense can be used in statement, negative, or interrogative form. In statement, the sentence started with subject, verb, and object or complement if it is needed. The compulsory components are subject and verb, as any other kinds of sentences. As we know, forms of verbs in English are varied. They are basic verb or verb 1, past verb or verb 2, past participles or verb 3, and present verb or verb ing. In simple present tense, we use basic verb or verb 1. And this is very important to be remembered. For example, I work. She works. Then, in negative sentence, we have to start with subject followed by don't or doesn't, and verb 1 plus object or complement if necessary. For example, I don't work. She doesn't work. Meanwhile, in interrogative sentence, we don't start with subject as in statement and negative sentence. For example, do you work? Does she work? In interrogative sentence, we start the sentence with auxiliary do or does, followed by subject and verb 1. Then object or complement if it is necessary. When we need to make interrogative sentence using WH questions like what, when, why, who, whose, how, and other question words, just put them before the auxiliary in the interrogative sentence. For example, when do you work? When does she work? Then, how to decide whether the sentence should use do or does, don't or doesn't? It depends on the subject used in the sentence. Does or doesn't is used for she, he, it, and singular subjects such as my mother, your friend, the teacher, the cat, and so on and so forth. Do or don't is used for you, they, we, and plural subjects such as my parents, your friends, the teachers, the cats, and so on and so forth. Now, we talk about present simple with auxiliary verbs. In the previous session, we have discussed about the structure of simple present tense using main verb. Now, the discussion focuses on how to make sentences that do not have main verbs. For example, in bahasa, Rina pandai. Cindy bukan seorang dokter. Apakah mereka berada di rumah sakit? The sentences I have mentioned before are different from the following sentences. Rina selalu belajar tata bahasa Inggris. Cindy tidak pergi ke rumah sakit semalam. Apakah mereka akan bertemu dengan teman-teman mereka? The sentences I have mentioned just now have main verb. Belajar or study, pergi or go, and bertemu or meet. So how if the sentences do not contain main verbs? In simple present tense context, we need auxiliary verbs such as is, am, are, so that we can create grammatical sentences. Similar to the sentences followed by main verb, simple present tense sentences followed by auxiliary also have statement, negative, and interrogative form. In statement, the sentence started with subject, to be, is, am, are, and adjective or professions or adverb of places or nouns. For example, Rina is smart. Rina pandai. In negative form, the sentence started with subject, to be is, am, are, not, and adjective, professions, adverb of places, or nouns. For example, Cindy is not a doctor. Cindy bukan seorang dokter. Meanwhile, in interrogative form, the sentence started with to be, is, am, are, plus subject, and adjective, or professions, or adverb of places, or nouns. For example, are they at the hospital? Apakah mereka berada di rumah sakit? Of course, in negative sentence, we may add WH questions. Depends on the kinds of information we want to get from the listeners or the readers. For example, why are they here? Mengapa mereka berada di sini? Then, how to decide whether the sentence should use is, am, or are? It depends on the subject used in the sentence. Am is used for I. Is used for she, he, it, and singular subjects such as my mother, your friend, the teacher, the cat, and so on and so forth. Are is used for you, they, we, and plural subjects such as my parents, your friends, the teachers, the cats, and so on and so forth. Now, let's discuss the frequency adverb on the simple present tense. In simple present tense, the use of frequency adverb is common. What is frequency adverb? Frequency adverb is an adverb that is used to express how often is the activity occurred. There are some words or phrases used for frequency adverbs. For example, there are some frequency adverbs that lead to positive meanings, like always, constantly, that means at all time, on every occasion, selalu, 100%. Next, usually, normally, means in the way that is usual or normal, means most often, biasanya. Next, frequently, regularly, means often. Often means many times, which means sering. And sometimes which means occasionally rather than all of the time, which means kadang-kadang, 50%. There are also frequency adverb that leads to a negative meaning, like occasionally, infrequently, seldom, which means sometimes but not often. It means sekali-sekali. Next, rarely, hardly ever, means not very often, which means jarang. And the last is never. That means not at any time, not on any occasion, which means tidak pernah. The position of frequency adverb is usually in the middle of a sentence and have special positions as shown in the examples. Some adverbs, such as sometimes, may also be put at the beginning or end of a sentence. For example, I sometimes eat nasi uduk for breakfast. Sometimes I eat nasi uduk for breakfast. I eat nasi uduk for breakfast sometimes. After watching the explanation about simple present tense, what do you think? It's quite simple, isn't it? As a practice, try to list your habits and ask your friends and family about their habits. Learning and using tenses properly is not as difficult as we have ever imagined. The most important things are that we know the structure of the sentences and understand when we have to use those structures. Simple present tense always uses verb 1 in its structure. In negative sentence, we use don't or doesn't. While in interrogative, the sentence preceded by do or does. When the sentences do not have main verb and followed by adjective, professions, and adverb of places, is MR used as the sentence verb or predicate. Then, when we have to use this kind of structures, we use the structure of simple present tense when we want to tell about daily activities or daily habits. Besides, this is used to express general statement of facts. Finally, simple present tense is also used to express events or situations that exist always, usually, or habitually in the past, present, and future. Moreover, there are some frequently adverbs used in simple present tense. They are always, usually, sometimes, often, seldom, never, rarely, and so on and so forth. Now, we come to the end of this session. Keep practicing and using what you have learned today in the future. The best way to learn a new language is by using it. Riley B. King, an American singer, said, "The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away. So keep learning, everyone." Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next episode. Salam Ujar, Unpam Mengajar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.